The wind at the top of the world doesn't simply howl, it screams like a reminder that humans were never meant to linger here. Imagine stepping into a place where the sun refuses to rise for half the year, where the temperature can plunge lower than the surface of Mars, and where survival depends on knowledge older than memory itself. Yet, astonishingly, people have not only ventured into these frozen lands, but lived, thrived, and carved out entire cultures in the heart of the Arctic and Antarctic. The poles are not empty wastelands, they are living laboratories of resilience, landscapes where survival is an art form. Take the Inuit of the Arctic, whose ancestors have braved this environment for thousands of years. They didn't merely endure, they innovated. Without wood or stone, they built homes from snow itself, igloos, perfectly engineered domes that trap warmth and resist crushing winds. In winter darkness, they hunted seal through breathing holes in the ice, their patience tested for hours, sometimes days. To an outsider, such endurance seems unbearable. To them it was life, and life was precious enough to master every hardship. But history here is not only about the native survivors, it's also about the reckless explorers who tried to claim what nature never offered freely. Consider the ill-fated Franklin expedition of 1845. Two ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, vanished into the labyrinth of ice. Their crews believed advanced technology would shield them. Instead, they succumbed to scurvy, starvation, and madness. Inuit oral histories tell of desperate men, weakened and broken, wandering the ice in search of salvation that never came. When the wrecks were finally discovered more than 160 years later, they were preserved by the cold like eerie time capsules. The ice had kept their secrets, waiting for us to listen. The South Pole tells a similar story of ambition and agony. In 1911, Roald Amundsen of Norway and Robert Falcon Scott of Britain raced to be the first to stand at Earth's southernmost point. Amundsen succeeded, reaching the pole with meticulous planning and lessons learned from Arctic survival. Scott, however, arrived weeks later, only to find the Norwegian flag planted in the snow. The return journey for Scott and his men became a march into death. Diaries found with their frozen bodies still whisper of frostbite, hunger, and despair, yet also of courage that endures as legend. But not every story here ends in tragedy. In the Arctic, communities flourished because they embraced cooperation with the land. The Inuit fashioned clothing of caribou hides, warmer than any modern parka. They designed kayaks that could slip silently across icy waters, and dog sleds that carried them vast distances across frozen plains. Every invention, every tool, was born from an intimate knowledge of nature. Their wisdom wasn't written in books, it was carried in stories, in songs, in the muscle memory of hands shaping bone into tools and sinew into thread. And the animals too are survivors in ways that seem almost miraculous. Polar bears with their translucent fur and insulating fat can swim for days across icy seas. Emperor penguins, huddling together through Antarctic winters, take turns enduring the biting wind so that no chick is left exposed for long. In the bleakest cold, life refuses to surrender. Instead, it adapts, reminding us that survival is not about domination but balance. Yet survival at the poles has always demanded sacrifice. Imagine months in total darkness, when the sun disappears below the horizon and won't return until the earth tilts again. The silence becomes heavy, broken only by cracking ice or the distant howl of wolves. For humans, this darkness tested not just the body, but the mind. Isolation brought hallucinations, depression, even madness. Explorers who braved polar winters often wrote of the strange beauty of the aurora borealis, dancing lights in the sky like spirits, but also of a crushing loneliness that no fire could warm. Today, survival at the poles takes on a new dimension. Scientists at research stations live in steel habitats equipped with modern comforts, yet they too must face the extremes of cold, isolation, and danger. Their missions aren't about conquering territory, but about unlocking secrets, drilling ice cores that reveal Earth's climate history, tracking polar bear populations to measure the pulse of a changing world, listening for the creaks and groans of glaciers that could one day reshape coastlines. Modern explorers rely on satellite links and insulated suits, yet in many ways they still stand in the same shoes as those who came before, fragile humans in a realm where nature always holds the upper hand. And as the ice melts faster than ever, the story of survival here shifts again. The Arctic, once shielded by its own hostility, is opening to oil rigs, shipping lanes, and competition for resources. Indigenous communities who once lived in balance now face the challenge of preserving traditions in a world that threatens to melt beneath their feet. The poles, once symbols of timeless endurance, are now barometers of global change. Survival here is no longer only about enduring cold, it is about adapting to a future where the cold itself may vanish. But perhaps that is the greatest lesson the poles offer us. Survival is not about brute strength or blind ambition, it is about respect for nature, for knowledge, for each other. The Inuit hunter waiting by a seal's breathing hole, the penguin shielding its chick from the wind, the scientist studying melting glaciers, they are all part of a continuum, a reminder that life bends but does not break. At the very edge of the world where night can swallow day and ice can entomb entire ships, humans have carved stories of courage, failure, and endurance. These stories echo across centuries, carried by the wind that never rests. And if we listen closely, they whisper a truth we too often forget. Survival at the poles is not just about living through the cold, but about understanding that the cold, the ice, and the endless night are as much a part of life's story as warmth, light, and fire. Because at the ends of the earth, survival is never guaranteed. It is earned through patience, ingenuity, and respect for forces greater than ourselves. And that is why the frozen poles remain not